Hey, welcome to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and here I like to explore the world of fountain pens, ink, and paper. And today it is a fountain pen day. Several times lately, I have shared with you a pen from a company called Hongdian out of China. And they have really been on a roll lately with some just absolutely gorgeous, but also fairly budget-friendly fountain pens. And so we're going to continue looking at some of their newest offerings. Today it is the Hongdian N9. This one's been out for a few months and is an absolutely fantastic looking pen, especially in this color. This is the one that I would definitely get. I'll just give you that right up front. But lots of pens can look good. The question is, are they made well and do they write well? And that's what we're going to look at in today's review. I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like about this pen, what has worked and not worked in the time that I've had it, which has been now for a couple of months, and then maybe help you decide, is this a pen that you want to check out for yourself? So let's spin that camera and take a closer look. All right, as we look at this pen overall, the design is just quite nice. You have that classic cigar-shaped look, nice gold trim, and of course, this dark red acrylic material that just really stands out. And it all works together, I think, really well. And starting at the top of the pen, of course, we have that torpedo-shaped end and then that clip, which is nice and springy. It is stiff, but not overly stiff. I think it has just a nice design to it. And then we come down to that gold trim ring. And here we have to zoom in and look a little bit closer. So on the trim ring, you have this vine-like motif, and then you come back around and you have in script Hongdian. This is different from a lot of their other pens. Hongdian, and then very tiny up there is the model number, the N9. And that it is that small and yet that well done speaks to just how far Hongdian is coming in their manufacturing. It all looks really good. Then the cap tapers down nicely to the barrel, which tapers to that cigar-shaped ending. Overall, it makes for what I think is a really good-looking pen. I really like it. I think the look is tasteful. It's not over the top, even though it has this very dynamic material. Now, they do make a couple other colors, but this is the one I was most interested in sharing with you here on the channel. And I really like this material. The light catches it in so many different ways and places, and it is quite literally an eye-catching material. Now, when we take that cap off, and it is 1 1/4 turns, so I know that will be a good thing for a lot of you. If you look down the barrel, you will see, of course, it is turned acrylic on the inside for most of the cap with a small plastic liner just at the very end up there, protecting where the clip is attached. I've had no issues with dry out or anything with this pen, so that cap is doing its job. It does post securely, not all that deeply, but the pen is very well balanced when writing with it posted. So if you're a poster, that's going to be just fine. If you're not a poster, I find this pen more than long enough to be very comfortable, and I think the taper sits nicely there in hand. Just overall, it's really a nice pen ergonomically, and part of that has to do with this grip. The grip is just a really nice shape. It contours down and then flares out, I don't know, in just a very nice way. So it's a long enough section without being crazy long that you can grip it, and it's going to be comfortable. You're not really going to be bothered at all by the trim ring there or by those threads. The step down is really far back, and minimal, fits very nicely and naturally in hand. We'll come back to that nib here in just a second, but you will notice again there is a gold trim ring there, and that of course is part of the grip and feed section. It is metal, and it is metal on metal threads. There is an insert glued into the barrel to take care of that. I like it when they do that. It just saves on some wear and tear of the pen and those threads. And of course, being a Hongdian, it does include a converter. And let me just remind you, Hongdian pens use a 3.4 millimeter converter or cartridge. This is cartridge converter pen. That is a Chinese standard size, and so those cartridges and converters are available. And Hongdian makes ink cartridges for these pens that you can find pretty easily. And I find their converters to be pretty good, kind of standard run-of-the-mill converters that work well, and they are easily cleaned out. You just unscrew that metal section there and then pull that apart. You can service this with silicone grease. Now normally it will have a plastic BB inside that converter. A lot of people take them out because they're annoyed by them. It's just an agitator to break the surface tension, but not everybody is convinced that that actually matters. As for mine is missing because when I cleaned out this converter in between ink fills, I forgot that BB was in there, and it went flying toward the floor, and I never saw it again, but I'm sure I'll hear it when the vacuum runs next time. All right, now you might think that the material is entirely the star of this pen's show, but that is actually not the case. The most important part is really this nib. You will notice it has the rabbit design on the nib, has medium, nice and big there on the nib, which I like that it has that indicator. But most important, this is not just a medium nib. This is a medium long blade nib. Now for Hongdian, long blade means that this is basically an architect grind. And I know a lot of you like to use an architect grind nib, and I'll show you in the writing section, if you're not familiar, why that matters, but it makes for a really good, interesting writing experience. But in this one, I gotta tell you, it's really nice and smooth. It has good flow, and I'm really impressed with how well that it writes, especially in an affordable fountain pen. All right, and for today's size comparison, of course, we start with the N9, and then similar in shape and size, but not at all identical, you have the Platinum 3776, followed by a Jinhao X350, a budget pen that I just keep finding to be an excellent writer, and then the ever-present Pilot Metropolitan. All of these pens, of course, pretty similar in length, girth, and in cigar shape, but none of them exactly identical. And then, of course, you've got a variety of materials used. Here we have the pens in their posted length, with that N9 coming out to be the longest, just slightly longer than the X350. And here are the pens in their unposted length. Here it is not at all the longest pen, it is actually the second shortest, but all of these within what's pretty much a standard size. Now for paper today, I am actually using an old favorite of mine, and back when I first started this channel, I use it all the time in pen reviews. It is a marker pad from Hobby Lobby. You can get similar things at other art supply stores and craft stores, and I really like it. It has a really good texture, pens write very smoothly, and it takes ink very nicely. It's also just a little bit of an off-white, and I kind of prefer that, especially with certain colors of ink like diamine oxblood. And it also does really well with color variation and shimmering and shading inks. This nib is just fantastic. Again, it is a medium nib, but not just a medium nib. It is a long blade. That means that it is an architect style nib. I'll show you wetness here. I think that's quite good. And so these are really good at giving your writing some character. That's just normal light pressure. Then when you go on the side stroke, and this is at a normal angle, you get a thicker line. These are, of course, good stiff nibs. All of their variation comes from the grind of that nib and the shaping of it. It does give you a little bit of line variation. It allows you to make different marks of varying widths as you lift the pen. It just allows you to write a little bit more creatively if that's your thing. Of course, it's made especially for Asian characters, but a lot of people really like what it does with Western writing too. But I will tell you, one of the things I have liked the most about this particular nib, better than any long blade I think that I've gotten, except for another pen that I'm going to share with you here quite soon, is that it is just so smooth and the flow works so well. Let's do our quick test. And again, I do this with just light pressure, real time. Every now and then I might lift. But as you can see, that just kept up excellently. And so this has been my experience. I've been writing with this pen. I've already written with it empty and refilled it and yada, yada, yada. And it has just been fantastic. This long blade nib on this particular pen from Hongdian, I have just been so pleased with it. Again, better than any of the ones that I've gotten from them or anybody else so far, except for one that I'll share soon. I'm just really, really enjoying this pen. So let's look at what I like and what I don't like. What do I like? Well, I do very much like this particular color. What do I not like? The other two choices, to be honest. I would love to see some other colors. I think some more variety in colors would probably go a long way in getting this pen into more hands. And I think that it should, because it really is well made, and I've just enjoyed it. Another negative is that I noticed on my example, and I don't know if you can see it on camera very well, but just right here at the very tip, some of the gold plating has come off on mine already, or maybe it came from that way from the factory and I just didn't notice until the last cleaning. It was not because of the cleaning, because I noticed it before that even happened, and it didn't get worse with the cleaning. So that makes me think maybe it was a manufacturing defect, because it doesn't seem to be getting any worse. I don't know, but that happened, and certainly want to make you aware of that. Other than that, I haven't found any other flaws in the way the pen is made at all. It's really, really nicely done. It has been an excellent writer, and I look for excuses to write with this pen, which is probably the highest recommendation I can give for any pen, I guess. And so I can definitely recommend, if you like a thicker line, try out that medium long blade nib. Really, really nice. And with that, let me just close out by letting you look at that material one more time. Isn't that cool looking? I really like the way that this color and this material play with light. Really good looking pen. I guess it could be one of those distractor pens keeping you from getting your work done. It has been for me. And so now I'm going to close this out. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your comments and your support of the channel. And God bless you, and have a great week. I got to get to work.